Most people look at high-level Fortnite players who qualify to FNCS, earn consistently, and in general are a lot better than the other players. And they only think one thing: the player in question definitely plays at least 11 hours a day and does not have a life. However, one player in particular qualified to FNCS seats on NA Central with an average of 2 hours played a day. Meet Andrew, a player who qualified to FNCS heats while being in university, interning for a Fortune 500 company, and playing roughly 2 hours a day. And he did all of this while he was Div 5 only a month ago. So that goes to show that if you can do what he did, you can never stop yourself from going pro. Now, with only 2 hours a day to play the game, you need to manage what you do properly. You need to make sure that you've got a realistic routine that actually helps you improve every single time you play. And you know what? I'm not even gonna yap in this part. You can just take over.
Hey guys, it's Andrew, and today I'm going to walk you through the routine I use to stay sharp, even though I don't have a lot of time in my day-to-day life. So the first part of my routine is just working through my mechanics. This is just where I warm up my builds and my edits. But the thing that I do different, I guess, than other people is that I'll usually play from around 120 to 150x speed. The reason why I do this is just to make sure that I'm trying to speed run my development here. And to do that, I believe, is just to make things harder for yourself, and you want to make the hard edits when you play as well. So what I do is just I practice a lot of quad edits. I do a lot of edits I'll normally do in game, and then I'll usually just do this for around 2 minutes just to make sure that everything's warm, and that not only just my mechanics are warmed up, but also my movement as well. Once we're done with that part, we'll just go back to the home. We'll go to the P section here, and here we'll just run the play all. I like to make sure that each bot at least has 100 health, so I'm getting punished for hitting all my shots. I'll run this around maybe 50 reps. If it take me no longer than maybe 5 minutes. And then we'll go to the part where I warm up my aim. In this map, I'll only work on my tracking, and the maps that I'll usually do for that are only glider tracking, bounce tracking, and surge tags. So we'll do glider tracking first. And then we'll go to bounce tracking. Right after that, we'll just run a couple reps in the surge tags. So after that, I'll move into aim duels, and I'll usually just do only my shotgun training in here. I believe that shotgun is the most important part of aiming in Fortnite. It's the type of scenario, it's the type of situation where, a missed shot, it can mean a bad tournament or something like that. So some of the scenarios I'll do here are 1x1 cone react, 1x1 ramp flick, octagram flick, high-low flick, and side jump shots. And then once we're around 5 to 8 reps of those, just feeling our flicks are pretty warm after that, we'll move to classic aim duel, where we'll do 1x1 cone, 1x1 ramp, 1x2 ramps, 1x2 cones, low gravity, and flying arena. So we'll hop on 1x1 cone, and I'm really trying to teach you guys how to play that. So for these ones, you kind of just want to do shotgun and AR swap, and you just do something like this, where it just automatically swaps for you. Just getting comfortable with putting the reps of cleaning someone up with your SMG, and that'll be just off with aim duels. So after that, I'll try to translate all those things that I just worked on in both the mechanics v5 map and the aim duel map into Martoz turtle fights. Make sure that you're using in-game guns here. So I'll use the Kill Chaos for right now, and I'll just kind of hop on the map and just try to work on the piece control moves that I just practiced against everybody. Yeah, so we're just gonna do some of that for a bit. I'll usually play that for around 10 minutes, but the main goal is just to try to move everything to translate from there to another. And then with that, that's just basically my whole routine. After that, I'll usually just hop on some scrims. I'll hop on maybe some tokens, some PGs, some reels, and I make sure to do that against a lot better players, because when you put the reps in against better players, that's how you become more like them. And yeah, with that, that's kind of just all I do in my day-to-day. And yep, appreciate the love. Peace.
But this video is not just about his aim training routine, because if it was that, then the title would be something like the best aim training routine for Fortnite or something like that. In high level competitive, everybody in the lobby is insane at the game, so just having really good aim does not make you different from everyone in the lobby. What Andrew actually needed was a strategy that actually helps him get within the top 150 in the FNCS qualifiers. However, to see the strategy in its full effect, we're gonna need to go over the game that Andrew and his duo actually won. Now Andrew and his duo start off the game at these houses, which don't actually seem that good for looting. It only has 6 chest spawns, out of which none of them are guaranteed. Which means that in some cases, just like in this game, Andrew could be running around without a shotgun even in the first 2 minutes. However, by scrap looting around the house, they just end up getting a shotgun eventually. But why'd they even land in a place with no chests in the first place? Well, you see, this area actually has really good benefits as well. The first is that there's a hill nearby where they can get a lot of visibility onto other players. And they also have this base right on that hill where they can get cap metal. But instead of going for that this game, Andrew and his duo actually rotate to Battlefield Boulevard, where they notice a player is rebooting the other. Now, instead of actually keying the person who's rebooting, they actually wait for the reboot to finish so that they can get free surge. And after instantly wiping out the player from the sky, both Andrew and his duo end up keying the remaining player. Now, in this fight and in most fights that Andrew takes in particular, you're never really going to see a lot of piece control or some mechanics that you can never really do. Andrew seems to have a very gun-out Gary type of playstyle. He did not really place that many builds, and he mainly relies on his aim and his really good movement. Just from this fight in itself, they've dealt over 300 damage and have only taken about 30. This means that their net surge right now is on positive 270. Now later again, they find another 2 players and Andrew tags them for 100 damage. Because of this, now their surge is on positive 350. Now after gaining some decent surge, Andrew actually does something that not a lot of players are doing this season. Andrew and his duo decide to play the Storm. Back in Chapter 7 Season 1 with the wingsuit meta, many teams were comfortable playing Storm, since they could easily buy the medkits from the vending machines and then rotate in with the wingsuits later. However, this season there's no more medkits in the vending machines in tournaments. Also, because shockwaves are not really as strong as wingsuits used to be for mobility, it means that it's a lot harder to get out of zone and then get into a good position. However, Andrew actually played Storm really smartly. Now you remember me mentioning that you can no longer buy any more medkits from the vending machines? From the special vending machines, however, you can always get a few truck splashes. Using this, both Andrew and his duo get cap materials and rotate into zone where they get a really good position in the edge of dead side. This allows them to pull the next zone, or maybe not because it's Fortnite and they end up getting a max distance pull. Where apart from this team, which is in the new Sanctuary for some reason, and a few other teams that are still playing Storm, they're the team that is the furthest away from zone. Because of this, they decide to rotate early, however they end up fighting in the rotate. And the moment the other team is on Andrew's wall, Andrew does a really good job of making some space instantly. And again, we can see Andrew's gun-out Gary playstyle over here. In this fight, for example, instead of flipping the rand that was his, he just decided to sit in the window edit and 50-50 the other player. His duo on the other hand got a player in a full piece and got a free refresh out of it. Now as zone 6 is pulled right next to them, they decide to pressure the team that is right in front of them. Now because the other team was tagged pretty heavily in this fight, they've got to stagger their rotate and they've got to sit and heal. This means that both Andrew and his duo can get a really free rotate right through the edge of the zone. The next zone again pulls pretty far away from them. Because of this, Andrew and his duo decide to rotate early, and Andrew almost ends up milking the game right here. However, he does end up catching himself midway through, so you don't really get to slander him for that. Now, the moving zones right after these zones were pretty similar. In all of them, Andrew and his duo would just shockwave in and they just starved a bit. In zone 11, Andrew and his duo decide to shockwave to height, and while Andrew does get the first knock, he does end up going down right after that. Because of this, Spider is left as a solo on height. He uses this to drop down a few layers and looks backside for a refresh. However, noticing that there's no one in backside, he decides to shockwave up and get some info on the next zone. As he's landing, he gets a really beautiful thunder bump from the sky. And in the final 1v1, the last player pretty much does not have any health, so he just gets the free win over there. Now over here, you can see that their strategy is actually pretty clear. They play the Storm from zone 3 to zone 4, and then make early rotates every single rotate after that. And this simple but really smart strategy ended up getting them into the heat. Now obviously, all of this does not come without practice. And the way to practice your strategies is only in 3 different ways. The first would have been a competitive game mode, the other being a scrim, and the third being tournaments. Now in both tournaments and scrims, you've got really good players over there, so you can easily get some practice in. However, the competitive game mode that Fortnite has right now was not the best, because of which they had to announce Rank 2.0. So if you want to know what changes Fortnite Ranked would need to break so that the game mode is actually really good to play, then click on the video on the screen right now.